Good evening, everyone. Severe Weather Team 9 meteorologist Nathan Judd here for this edition of Nate at 8. Another beautiful day across the Ohio Valley. And pleasant weather continues tomorrow, but after that is when the changes begin. So without further ado, let's jump into what we're going to be discussing for this edition of Nate at 8. And well, what we just said, that's one of it. One of those highlights we're going to be talking about. One more dry day before that chance of rain will pick up. And while it is dry for tomorrow, we will be tracking a reduction in air quality, yes, due to smoke from Canadian wildfires. So there's one thing to note for tomorrow. It's pleasant, it's quiet, but that smoke is certainly something to discuss tomorrow, as unfortunately that air quality is anticipated to be reduced. So we'll dive into just how much of a reduction we'll see and who should be concerned about the reduction in air quality. And after that, well, rain chances pick up for Friday, and it's just a wet and muggy stretch of weather ahead, and for most of it, warm as well. So warm, wet, and muggy is a good way to describe a lot of the weather that lies ahead of us for, I would say, most, if not all of next week, and even including this weekend. Although wouldn't say this weekend's warm, but it certainly will be muggy. So starting off with those current temperatures today, making it back into the 80s. Now we're seeing our temperatures fall through the 70s. We'll still cool quite a bit tonight and still on the more cool, comfortable side going into tomorrow morning. We're not tracking any precipitation on radar for this evening. A few clouds in the mix overnight, but that's going to be it. Again, temperatures still likely fall at around 60 degrees. So not as cool as what we had for this morning, but I wouldn't say it's a real mild start to tomorrow. It's still on the more cool, comfortable side for your Thursday. That will be the last night that we have that for, well, the foreseeable future, because with the muggy conditions comes some mild nights. So our future cast as we go throughout Thursday, we'll notice a few more clouds continuing to mix in. So it's more of a mostly sunny sky beginning Thursday to partly cloudy sky going into Thursday afternoon. Now, despite dealing with an increase in cloud cover tomorrow, we're still anticipating dry conditions to hold. High temperatures topping off further into the 80s will be around the mid, maybe some of those warmer spots, upper 80s for Thursday afternoon. Certainly a warm day across the Ohio Valley, but not an overly humid day on Thursday. So that's certainly nice to not have to deal with the real humid conditions with our temperatures further into the 80s on Thursday. Our skies then turn mostly cloudy Thursday night. Again, dry conditions still anticipated to hold Thursday night, but as you can spot already at 5 a.m. on Friday morning, by Friday morning, we're going to be spotting some showers likely returning. It's going to be a few showers that could be around for the morning commute, and a few of those showers can carry over then going into the afternoon and evening as well. And the afternoon evening is when we can see a thunderstorm in the mix. Precipitation for Friday still anticipated to be very hit or miss. So some of us can stay dry through the entirety of Friday. And again, those that pick up that round of rain, just keep in mind the majority of Friday still dry, right? So maybe you have to deal with a passing shower or two Friday, but still most of Friday is going to end up dry. It's just that at that point, we'll notice that potential for some rain return across the area. Now, I do anticipate after the sun sets Friday evening, by early Friday night, we could see an uptick in activity where we can notice more scattered showers and, again, a thunderstorm in the mix, then continuing going into Saturday morning. And from there, for the weekend, we're dealing with scattered to, at times, numerous showers and thunderstorms. So, again, as you can see, Futurecast already hinting at it. Once we see a few showers arrive Friday, it's just the beginning of an unsettled weather pattern in place as we go through not only this weekend, but I think for the vast majority, if not all, of next week as well. So tomorrow, certainly going to be the day that if you want to do some, if you want to get some things done outdoors, tomorrow's going to be the day to do it, but there's still no chance of rain after that. Just going to have to be dodging some rain likely and the forecast on a daily basis. I know not every day is equal. There's going to be some days where, again, I think the majority of the daytime can be dry, but I do not foresee a day here for the near term over the next week and quite possibly even going into the following weekend that we do not have at least a chance for a shower thunderstorm. I think it stays with us every single day past tomorrow. Again, at least a chance. Doesn't mean we're dealing with, real wet days for a lot of this stretch, but at least a chance for a shower and thunderstorm, I think, on a daily basis. And for a lot of these, at least a few showers and thunderstorms, I think, can be in place, if not more of those scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms. And yes, the coverage that we get for this weekend, scattered to numerous. It's not a washout this weekend, but it's just going to be round after round, I think, of dealing with these showers and thunderstorms throughout the weekend. So think of it this way: if you're planning anything outdoors Saturday and Sunday, you just have to be prepared that at some point, whatever you have planned outdoors, that you're likely going to be dealing with a round of rain, right? So if you're planning something outdoors, just be prepared for it. You can start whatever you're doing dry, but just know that there's good odds that at least a round of rain is on its way, unfortunately, to impact any outdoor plans you have for Saturday and Sunday. Shelly saying no more rain. Shelly saying I'm not liking that rain. And unfortunately, that's our future, Shelly, for a lot of this is, again, not a washout for a lot of these days, but likely going to be tracking at least some rain for a lot of these days looking ahead. Good evening. Today was a beautiful day to mow, Austin says. The wind definitely helped out. How muggy are we going to be tomorrow? So we'll dive into those dew points here in just a minute, Austin. But yeah, certainly a beautiful day across the Ohio Valley, no doubt. Thank you, Shelly and Austin, and all of you for tuning in for this edition of Nate at 8. I appreciate it. So Austin just asked about the humidity, and our dew points are going to start to climb up. So still not overly humid tomorrow, right? It's a little humid, but really it's more tolerable, I think you can say. Still going to be very warm tomorrow. Highs are, further into the 80s, mid, maybe some of those warm spots, upper 80s. It's going to be a bit humid, but really not to the extent where it's going to feel warmer than the actual air temperature. So it's still, again, likely more tolerable for that humidity on Thursday. Now, when I would say it's more humid or muggy, that's going to be likely towards the end of the day on Friday. So throughout Friday afternoon to evening is when it turns muggy on us. And from there, as you can see, we do not look back going through this weekend and going into early next week. And a good indication of just how muggy this weather can be. I've mentioned this yesterday as well, but looking at the low temperatures for this time of the year, especially, this is a good indication of just how muggy your weather can be. Keep in mind that chart that we just discussed, those dew points start to get above 60. That's when we really can notice it. The humidity, once it gets closer to and above the mid 60s and closer to 70 plus, this is when it starts to get humid to unbearably humid. So you get 70 plus, that's what we consider unbearably humid. You almost just start to instantly sweat when you step outside. 65 plus is just humid to us. That's the uncomfortable, humid range. Notice where these low temperatures are for a lot of the stretch past tomorrow morning, mid upper 60s. And oftentimes what happens around this time of the year is that the dew point can be the limiting factor to how much we cool, because as the temperature reaches the dew point, the air becomes saturated and it's difficult for that air to continue to cool. And as this occurs, this is when you also see areas of fog develop when the air becomes saturated. So that's always a good indication without even having to know the forecast for dew point, right? Not all of us are looking at our weather apps and seeing the forecast dew point to see how humid it's going to be, over the next 7 to 10 days. But what we all can do is look at how the low temperature forecasted over the next 7 to 10 days. And again, keep in mind that range, right? If you're dealing with lows mid 60s plus, there's a good bet that you have a muggy stretch of weather ahead. And that's exactly what we're going to see in place. Again, not tomorrow morning, still more comfortable. But once we get past that Friday morning and then on, that's, the start of that muggy stretch of weather that we have coming our way. So it's just an interesting tidbit of something, not all of us are have access or looking for the dew point forecast to see how humid it's going to be. But this is always a good test to do at home. It's not always the case, but it is often that you can just gauge just how humid it's going to be purely based off of that low temperature forecast. Another thing to note for tomorrow, it's going to be pleasant. Again, it's going to be a great opportunity to get out and get some yard work done, maybe lay some mulch, tend to the garden, mow the yard, anything you want to do without having that chance of rain. Tomorrow is going to be the day to do it. It's going to be very warm. Obviously, you want to stay hydrated, take some breaks in what you're doing, but it is going to be the day to do it, because after that, again, we have to dodge that potential for shower and thunderstorm on a daily basis. However, this is worth noting, because unfortunately tomorrow, while it is going to be a good day to do that, tomorrow we will likely be seeing a little higher concentration of that smoke from Canadian wildfires near the surface. So this is near surface smoke is what we're looking at here. And that concentration can pick up a little bit at times as we go through tomorrow. So that is the unfortunate part about tomorrow. So I think there is an exception there that makes tomorrow not so good for some of us. So, if you do have if you are sensitive to that reduction in air quality, it's unfortunately not the best day to get out and get some of the yard work done, because we will likely be in that range where it's unhealthy for some. So if you're sensitive to the reduction in air quality, then it is best to limit outdoor exertion tomorrow. So it's a good day in terms of the weather cooperating and keeping us dry again tomorrow. Not overly humid. It's very warm, but not overly humid. But the unfortunate side is that it is going to be unhealthy for some of us with that reduction in air quality for tomorrow, where we can deal with it to the extent where sensitive individuals should limit outdoor exertion. So, if you're sensitive to reduction in air quality, it's just something to keep in mind that unfortunately, while, the weather in many ways, it's a good day to do it weather-wise, but in others, very warm tomorrow and the reduction in air quality doesn't. So just something to keep in mind for tomorrow. And, I also want to say why I keep stressing that tomorrow's a good day to do it. Again, the days that lie ahead, these are not washouts, right? But it's just going to be harder to get that yard work in, especially for the weekend. I think it's going to be really tough to get some yard work done in the weekend, unless you don't mind cutting the grass wet. If you don't mind cutting the grass wet, there you go. It's good to do it this weekend, because I do think there's at least some dry times, but it's just occasional Saturday and Sunday. By Monday into Tuesday, the emphasis likely is more into the afternoon and evening hours. So maybe then, you could get it in towards midday before the showers and thunderstorms develop in the afternoon and evening. I think there's a potential to get some yard work done. And at that point, into the early parts of Monday, Tuesday. By Wednesday, we can see that shower thunderstorm activity for a longer duration of the day, maybe even spotting some in the morning. And we'll see that high temperatures climb back in the 80s going into the middle of next week, after a little bit cooler this weekend. So cloudy skies likely are this weekend. Cloudy skies and that rain can keep our highs going into the 70s. So we can notice going into the 70s on Saturday and Sunday with a cloud cover rain, a little bit cooler. But again, keep in mind, it's humid. It's going to be humid with those 70s. So it's not a cool, comfortable 70s the weekend. It's still going to be muggy. And there's the same case for these overnight lows as well, just mild and muggy with these lows mid to upper 60s for a lot of our future here, going through the majority likely of next week. So for tomorrow, we'll see that reduction in air quality, but it overall is a pleasant day, increase in cloud cover. We're likely going to be staying dry, very warm, highs mid upper 80s, but not overly humid. And when it will be turning humid then is by Friday, especially for the afternoon and evening. A few of those showers and thunderstorms can be in place going throughout the day on Friday. And we'll notice an uptick in that coverage then, scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms likely going through the course of the weekend. And that chance for a shower and thunderstorm carries over on almost a daily basis. Even in the next Friday, it's not showing the icon, but I think there's at least a slight chance even in next Friday for a shower and thunderstorm. So the chance just goes on and on, likely for a lot of next week. Hopefully we can sneak in at least a couple of those days where those rain chances are low for a dry day. Hopefully we can sneak in at least a couple of them looking ahead going into next week. Austin saying, what's the record for back-to-back weekend rain? I was surprised to learn that New York has had 29 weekend rains since November. Boy, that's an interesting statistic, Austin. What's the record for back-to-back weekend rain? Boy, you'd have to do a lot of digging. That's not a simple answer, but that is a good question, Austin, in terms of record for back-to-back weekend rain. Maybe I can look into that a little bit here after our live stream. And that's an interesting question. What's our streak? That would be an interesting question as well. So it's something to look into. It's unfortunately nothing to easily look up, but it is interesting. And it would be interesting to dive into that a little bit to see where a streak's at now in terms of records. Boy, that would take probably hours, if not days, looking back. If you're scouring through decades of records, and for some climate sites like Pittsburgh, the records go back to the 1800s. Imagine going through all of that for every single weekend. That would take some time, wouldn't it? But it is an interesting question. I like that. That's a good, interesting question. Richard saying, what's going to cause all this rain after tomorrow? It's an active pattern. So just system after system, Richard, it's what we're going to be getting into. So it's just system after system is delivering these rain chances. Once we get past tomorrow here, going through next week, it's an active weather pattern that we're going to be in. So we'll just we'll notice that just system after system delivers chance of rain. That's what our future holds for us. And for a lot of this, still fairly warm, more more seasonal to above normal temperatures, a lot of it muggy. That is going to be our future likely here over the next 10 days. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. I hope you had a wonderful day. Again, I hope you enjoy tomorrow, a last dry day here for a lot likely the next week, if not next 10 days. We'll be tracking those showers and thunderstorms, and then going into the weekend, of course, on that next edition of Nate at 8. I'll bring the latest on what we'll be watching for going into the weekend. Likely nothing impactful on Friday. We'll be watching for the weekend. Still some uncertainty. We'll dive further into this over the next couple of days. Still a little too much uncertainty to discuss the severe potential for the weekend, but I do think there's still that potential for some localized flooding. And I think, regardless of the severe threat, that is still one impact to watch for this weekend is localized flooding. Just heavy downpours within thunderstorms, just like what we've seen as of recent. If you're getting those heavy downpours occurring over the same location, that's when the issue arises and the flooding concerns are present there, unfortunately, going through the weekend. So that is one thing we're certainly watching for. There's still a little more question up in the air then in terms of the severe weather potential. I do think that a lot of the cloud cover around for the weekend and the potential there for rain in the mornings can really cut back on that severe risk, but we'll make that final call here over the next couple of days as we get closer to the weekend. As we can say that with more confidence then, at least at that point, as we get closer to the weekend. Again, thanks so much for tuning in. You can catch me coming up News 9 at 10 on Fox 9, News 9 tonight at 11 for the latest. And as always, catch me with that next edition of Nate at 8 tomorrow evening. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful night, everyone. And I'll see you on the next edition of Nate at 8.